So before I start this video, I really wanted to say one thing real fast. I honestly and truly started today by wanting to make a video about some of the positive things that have come out of the protests that have been happening lately. Riots, protests, but I wanted to show some positive aspects that have arose. That's what I wanted to show. It was difficult finding some material, but I did find some. And that was the video I wanted to make. A positive light of what has been happening for the past week or so. But this is where we are. This is the video I'm being almost forced to make. Pay attention, everybody. Man, oh man, has the propaganda been hard. It's incredible, ain't it? All the things you see, the things you hear. Don't believe what your lying eyes is showing you. So I want to pose a question to everybody before I get into the main, topic of the video. But when you're out somewhere and, you want to capture a moment that may mean something, that may have some significance for you, generally speaking, you take a photo, right? You take a photo because you want to capture a moment. Usually, if you're in the photo, you want to smile in that photo. Because smiling shows you're having a good time. Other moments you want to capture, you may want to capture something beautiful to remember that moment. Other times you may want to capture something that's tragic because you want to remember that moment. But then there's sometimes you want to capture a moment because there's meaning behind it. There's an actual message behind the image. At any point during that time, during those photos, during those incidents, have you ever referred to it as a photo op? As a publicity stunt? Anything of the third, any of those words? I didn't think so. What the media has been referring to as a photo op is a church, the Church of the Presidents, a church in our nation's capital that was set on fire by looters, vandals, and robbers. Robbers, looters, rioters. But now it's called a photo op. Lies have been spewed, still continuously being spewed, saying that, the military fired tear gas. Nothing happened under the sun. The Parks Police did fire pepper spray, the pepper bullets, to clear out an unruly crowd, a crowd that had the potential, and a very strong potential, of becoming dangerous. Just so everybody's fully aware of this, unnecessary use of force that is being referred to by the propaganda media. 50 Secret Service agents were injured, some of them very seriously injured, the night before. The night preceding, but the night previous to this, they almost tore down the fence to the White House. I want everybody to think about that. They almost breached the White House, almost breached the grounds. What are people thinking? This is the capital of our country. They damaged the Lincoln Memorial. They damaged the World War II Memorial. Can anybody find the logic in this? Oh, but it's a photo op. But nobody wants to talk about the fact that a church was set on fire. A church that was opened in 1816. That James Madison was the first president. That Abraham Lincoln used to sit every night during the Civil War and pray. But no, it's a photo op. Do you people really think? Do you think? Are you using the few brain cells that are left in your head to understand the fact that a church across the street from the White House was set on fire? Think about that. But no, it's a photo op. Even if you Google right now and you go on the Wikipedia and you Google the name of the church, it's St. John's Episcopal. And you read the history of the church, and it gives you, a little paragraph or two. But right there in big, bold letters, Donald Trump's photo op on Wikipedia, where some people actually go, I personally don't, but some people actually go to for their research. You don't find encyclopedias and world books anymore. Nobody's got those in their libraries. So people use the internet, and for the most part, the source is Wikipedia. It's considered accredited. But right there in big bold letters, Donald Trump's photo op. They wasted no time at all. But no, that's a photo op. There are people in this country, you can call them the hack media, bipartisan politicians. They keep bringing this up. In a Senate testimony where the Rod Rosenstein is giving a testimony under oath to discuss the illegal actions of the FISA warrants that were conducted under a fake investigation to investigate the President of the United States for Russian interference that all turned out to be a lie, the photo op, quote unquote, was brought up by Ms. Klobuchar, who, by the way, she did have a hand in the dealings with this police officer that led to the death of Mr. George Floyd. Now speaking of Mr. Floyd, and photo ops, to put it that way, and I'm not going to really go into this, but since I said the word race baiter number one, Mr. Al Sharpton. Everybody that donated to Mr. Floyd's GoFundMe page, I hope you're realizing that the majority of that money that you spent is going into Al Sharpton's pockets, just so you know. But there was a very interesting moment that I was able to catch during the memorial service that was everywhere, on every channel, for Mr. Floyd. It was even on C-SPAN. There was a sign language woman. One thing I do want to say just off the cuff, the sign language person industry right now is like the number one hottest job to have. Everywhere you look, there's a sign languager. This is like the year of the sign language, employee. I'll tell you, I used to laugh at people, if they were going to major or minor in sign language, and hey, you guys are smarter than me, I guess. Who would have known? But there was a young woman who was, performing the sign language during the memorial service. She was an African-American woman. But I kept noticing that, her eyes were focusing in one direction the entire time. And it was confusing to me. Usually they're looking straight ahead, looking at the, something like that. But she was always looking, to her left. And then I was able to pick up what I was seeing. There were two white women. I'm not trying to bring color into it, but they did. I'm going to put the blame on Al Sharpton because I don't know exactly who. They went and found a woman. And I actually felt bad for this woman after I realized what was happening. They actually found a woman, an African-American woman, to do the sign language. But I guess she wasn't as experienced in it. So they actually had to have two white women in the audience to do the sign language for her, and she had to, manipulate their hand gestures. That's probably more difficult than actually doing sign language, is to, follow somebody else doing sign language, and you need to be able to, there was probably a whole lot of deaf people that were very confused trying to figure out what she was trying to say, because, it's very hard to keep up with somebody's hand, doing something like that. But they actually had to have two white women in the audience to do the sign language. I guess in case one's hand started getting tired. But would that be considered a photo op? That you cannot have a white person do the sign language at Mr. Floyd's memorial service. since I'm talking about the memorial service, one also thing I want to say, I don't even know what the number is right now, 100,000, 120,000. How many people died, from the quote-unquote coronavirus, and we're not going to get into that conversation right now, but how many people died from the coronavirus, and nobody was able to have a funeral or memorial service or anything of the son. Can't even go to church. But in today's time, you can, one, set a church on fire, and two, have a memorial service. Folks, we're being manipulated. The propaganda is out there. And unfortunately, the uninformed populace is just soaking it all up. I don't know what to say anymore. I really don't. We need to get past whatever divide is being put in front of us right now. Because what is being said is not true. It's not accurate. We're all being manipulated. There's an agenda, and the agenda is against us. Not your color. It's not a racial thing. It's not a cult, a religious, whatever like that. It's against you, me, us, America. Wake up, America. Wake up.